Hi there, this is Kathy Crow here at the Crow Cottage in Springfield, Missouri. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you have a good time watching this video with a rare but good technique. This is an easy one to do, but it's not one I do. I probably do this technique like once every year or two. Why is it something I don't use very often? Well, because I actually really like to color. This is a good one for people. This is a good coloring technique, but it's not a super duper heavy duty coloring one, and you don't need, this is one I actually use markers in. I normally use these alcohol blending pens. They work so well and they're beautiful and they look like watercolors, even though I don't know how to color like that very well. I do not watercolor hardly ever because I don't like to get my paper all soggy and have to wait for it to dry. So this is a really good technique for me to use all the time because I like to color, but I don't like to watercolor. So this technique that I'm going to use today is using markers. And again, this is something, I don't use markers usually just to color cardstock. I'll talk about that why I don't later. This is a super easy one to do though, that I wish I'd learned like super early in my stamping fun, when I was first learning how to stamp, actually seeing how easy this is and how to do it and which stamps to do it with would have helped a great deal. But I think it's just a technique that a lot of stampers don't use a lot. So maybe that's why it's not so popular. I don't really know. But anyhow, we're going to have fun with it today. And today I tried to find this stamp set. Who knows how long ago this one was for sale. So I'm actually going to use one somewhat. This is Botanical Layers. This one is available. It's just I don't know if it has dies. I don't think it does. I didn't buy them if it did. I could tell by the stamps that I would be using it with this technique. With this kind of a technique, I don't use dies much with it. Now, this is the set I'm actually going to be using. I thought it was current. It is not. And it wasn't even in the last mini catalog either, because I thought, well, maybe it's in the mini catalog. This is going to expire like in a month. No, it's older than that. Must have been in 2 years ago. I can't keep it straight. They put new stuff in it's the time. But when this set came out, I don't even think I featured it during that whole year. And it isn't because I don't like it. It's a technique I don't use very often. And this particular stamp set is, I'll explain to you as we do it why this one caught my eye as the one I would want to use for this technique, but really almost for nothing else. And I actually really liked the sentiments on this one. Aren't they nice? These are really good general sentiments that have some kind of different font settings. And anyway, I'll talk about that more later too. All right, you probably already know that we have a new catalog coming out in, let's see, I get to pre-order it because I'm a demonstrator next month, and then it must come out in May. Can you believe it? So if you want a catalog and you don't get one, message me and I'll tell you how you can get one from me. And basically you just have to be one of my regular customers. But if you have ordered from me in the past and you want one and you're not going to get one, because like I set up my system so that you would all get one. And if you have ordered from me in the past and did not, and I mean in the past, like within a year, if you have ordered within a year and you spent at least $50. Now, I mean in product, not just total amount. So if you ordered a bundle, which is almost all of them are $52 or more, then you should have gotten one of every catalog that comes right after that for the whole year. You should have gotten one. And if you didn't, I really need you to let me know, because then that just means the systems have broken down and didn't do what I'm paying them to do. I'm paying the system to send you catalogs if you are my customers. So please let me know, and then I can notify them and they will immediately get one out because they want you to have it. It's not like I'm the only one who wants you to have it. No, they want you to have it too. So anyhow, things do happen, and As we all know, systems don't always work the way they're supposed to work. So let me find myself over here on the side so I can see your comments. And then my computer again today, I think it's my computer. I don't think it's actually my internet. I thought it was my internet for the last month, but now I'm thinking it's my computer that's acting up, and it's why. And let me move you a little bit. I know I'm kind of going to be monkeying around with the screen, and my lights kind of always, like, it's annoying. It is annoying, but we're going to live. Why? Are you backwards? No, you're not backwards. Whew, good. I thought you were backwards. Like, no, you're not backwards. Okay, why are you tilted, though? I don't know. You shouldn't be tilted, but you are tilted just a little bit. And that's okay. We can live with that. Tilted is okay. We just can't live with not seeing things. And why? Okay, let me scooch a little and see if that does help a bit. Okay, it does help a little bit. Now you're crooked again. So let's see here. How can I fix this crookedness? We're gonna tilt you like that, and then maybe that'll be better. We'll see. Aha. Better. It's like I am like in an airplane looking down, and it doesn't matter what I do. It's the opposite. Have you backed a trailer into a driveway ever? Like a big trailer? Have you ever tried to do that? Well, that's what it's like trying to get my lights and my desk right, because there's glare. Now here's my website. I am so sorry I'm not keeping my website up like I used to. I cannot do it all. So if you want to see all of my cards as I make them, you need to go to Pinterest. Follow me on Pinterest. I have my website going to direct people to my newsletter. Oops, I lost my newsletter QR code. It must be on the floor over here somewhere. But here's my Square store. You can also access it that way. That's why it came up. My tape is coming up. And this is my Stampin' Up! Store. If you want to order anything from me, remember, if you order $50 or more through me, then I will put a little crow stamp on your rewards card. When you get 10 of those, I will give you a free $50 shopping spree at Stampin' Up! Through me. And then also, in my newsletter, there's tutorials every week, so you want to follow that. Please like and share my videos. Helps it get around. You know the drill. All right, so Shaded Summer. Who knows how long ago? Look at you. What slipped in there? That's my newsletter. Let's see if we can find a piece of tape to put you down. You know, that is so funny. I do not know how that slipped in there, but it sure managed to. Shaded Summer is, when I saw it, I was first attracted to the flowers, but then I said to myself, oh, don't buy that stamp set, because you would have to ink it with your ink pad with all one color. And black won't do, obviously, because it's coloring in the flowers. And then I saw it had dies, and the dies are actually quite nice. I did a couple in the colors that we're going to be using today, which is Lemon Lolly and Daffodil Delight. So this is just 2 of the flowers that it does. And there's more. It cuts out these images, but it also does separate die flowers and leaves and stems. So it's a very versatile set to use. And then as I looked at it and I saw all these sentiments with alternating font, which means you can do something special with your ink. But again, when you're using markers. So anyhow, this is a technique that is like old school. Everybody knows this technique. It's nothing new. But it might be new for you, and it was for me not very long ago, really. I mean, I knew about the technique, but I just never did it because I don't know, it's just one that, let me adjust this. It's a great technique, but it just doesn't, I just don't think about it, I guess. Most of my stamps now, I've kind of weeded out a lot of these cling ones. You have clear ones and you have cling ones. And these cling stamps are the old-fashioned rubber ones, but these actually give a better impression. And what I'm about to do, you would not want or need to do with your photopolymer stamps, your clear stamps. You don't need to do that. And because you can see where you're inking up and you just don't need to. But anyway, I'm still adjusting things, but I think I'm there now. So I'm going to just take, what I'm going to do today is we're going to stamp. This is simple stamping. I don't do such simple stamping usually, but it's fun to do once in a while. And this stamp lends itself to it really well. So I'm going to take my cardstock and I'm going to trim it down. I'm going to go 4 inches here because I know I'm going to want a matte. Which is my background color. And so instead of 5.5, I'm going to cut this back down to a little more than 5 1/4. Just a little more then, so that I have a little room to wiggle. If I want to cut a bit off of one of the ends, I'll be able to, because I just did it a tiny bit bigger than necessary. Then you probably want some kind of paper that you can do some stamping on the side. To stamp off with. And I'm going to just grab this piece of DSP. I'm going to fold it over and just kind of keep it down here. And we're going to just stamp right on there. You want to decide, do you want your card like horizontal like this, or do you want it vertically placed? And if you take your stamps and just set them right on here, you can kind of see very quickly how you want your sentiments to be, how you want your images to be. Do you want those up or down? And yeah, these leaves are kind of like going up. So you can put them sideways some, but you really don't want to be putting them down unless it's up in this corner, which you could do that. That actually looks pretty good. But I like things going up. I'm an up facing type person. So I'm going to do one first like this, vertically. And so we're going to do it like that. We're going to probably go off the card there some. And then you do get one little sprig, which is handy because then you can stamp and just add. That one's going to be a little faster to use than when I'm inking it. But you're going to be shocked at how quick and easy it is to ink this up. You're only going to need 3 colors. For your flower, you want something different for the center and then the rest. So I'm going to use orange, which is pumpkin pie, for the center, and I'm going to use daffodil delight for the rest. I could have used lemon lolly, but that's pretty pale, and it's good, but I actually want that as the highlight color, and I'll show you how to get that. This is lemon lolly. That's going to be the matte underneath this, and this is daffodil delight. So you can see what a big change in color gradation it is, and so that's going to help those 2 tones to stand out really strong. You want them to. So for the leaves, I've just got garden green, and then we're going to use these blending pens. Now you don't have to use blending pens, but today I'm going to use Granny Apple to fill it. Is this Granny Apple? It is. Okay, I thought I had something else out, but it's okay. Granny Apple will be good. All right, and then before you get going, you want to figure out what is your sentiment. Now, I've been wanting to do a whole bunch of thank you cards. Although this thank you, as nice and sweet as it is kind of small. And for this one, I'm going to want something a bit bigger. And I also wanted to show you what I'm talking about with you coloring directly on your stamps with your markers when you have different sentiment font makes this super fun to do. So we could do, instead of a regular thank you, we could go above and beyond. You go there a lot. That would actually go really well with the thank you, wouldn't it? And plus, it's got 2 different fonts. So we can do one color with above and beyond, and we could do a different color with you go there a lot, and we can separate these out and put our thank you in the middle. I think that will look really good. This is going to kind of be stretching it a little with you go there a lot, because it's going to kind of go into my flower. I might have to stick my flower like this. let's do that, and then we can put our sentiment in there easily enough. So anyhow, this is how you can do a simple stamping card before you even get started, not even wasting your supplies. Lay your stamps right on your cardstock before you do anything, and then you haven't had to practice, okay? Botanical layers, you're coming later. I'm going to set you aside. Right now we're using this retired set. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp. Boy, I don't know if I need this. I'm going to do two. We're going to do one, and we're going to just do two right in this one. So we're going to do one like that, and then we're going to do one horizontally. And this is a little bit bigger because this is 5.5 by 4.25. But I'm going to go ahead and get this out, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp once here, and then I'm going to come and stamp here without inking again. Just again, so you can see this is how you can do a really simple stamped card for beginners. If you have somebody that's doing cards never before with you, this is a great technique to show them you can do a couple of cards really quick and easy. Now, when you're going to color right on your stamps, you want to start with your lightest colors first and then graduate on down. So the green is my darkest, garden green. Pumpkin pie's the next, and obviously any kind of yellow is going to be the brightest color. So I want to color that first, and then I'll go to orange, and then I'll go to green. I'm going to need to pull you down here so you can see what I'm doing, and hopefully I can see everything really good. But this is going to take just a minute to just adjust, as always, because I don't want you to be too dark. Sometimes when it gets down here, it gets really dark. Then I have to adjust all the lights again. If I had a professional system, it'd probably be better. Boy, I'm getting warm. Do you see I'm wearing a sweater? But in here with my lights, the sun is up. I'm going to have to shed the sweater, but I do have another shirt on underneath, no fear. And then I will be all set. Okay. So let's go ahead and start. With the new catalog, I don't think there is a special join, but again, if you want a lot of stamp supplies, you got to join Stampin' Up. Join through me because we have a lot of fun on our team. So let's go ahead. We're going to do all the flowers first. So just color yellow. You can do this very quickly. It doesn't matter if you go down into anything. Yeah. I'm just going to cover the whole flower. If I go onto the stems a little bit and onto the leaves a little bit, doesn't matter, because this is the lightest color. It's going to just disappear. And then I do want it on all of these little buds. I guess these are these leaves? No, these are the buds because those are the leaves. This is a really cute set. I looked in the new catalog to see what is that similar that I could have used today to show you this technique, and there weren't any. I just didn't see any flowers that was going to work with this, and I don't have one set that would work really well with it. It might be, is the submarine set, is that a, now I'm going to just do the centers here really well. Just the stamens, okay? Don't get it on the flower. You don't need to. Just the center and the stamens. And then I might do just the lines a tiny bit there, add a couple of lines right there, but nothing else. So that's it. But then on my buds, just at the base, just a little tiny bit at the base. I don't think there's, I couldn't see a set. Did you see one that would work with this technique? And we used to have so many that were like this. It was the most popular thing. Now I have to be a little careful with the green because I do want it to stay right where I want it. I don't want it going on the flower at all. Now with the leaves, I don't have to be quite so careful. Because they're big, you know, you can cover it pretty well. Just be careful where you're going by the bud. And then when you get to the stem, you do have to be careful again. But this way you get all these different colors, and you don't have to put tape on your... One other way to do this is to put tape over the images you don't want colored with that particular color, and then you can stamp take the tape off and then redo. That is just too time consuming for me to be putting tape on things. I am like major ADHD, I guess. I don't know. I'm really not. But you would think so sometimes with the things that I balk at. Like, that takes so much time. I don't have that much time. And I do. I actually do. I just don't want to do it. All right, so I think I've got all those little stems done. You do have some time. You can see I'm not like super rushed. Just breathe on it. And then stamp. And then we're going to stamp again right here. And we've got really pale ones there. You know, that's so pale I can't even see it. So I'm going to leave it, but that one's super pale. So that one is one that I'm not going to be able to color it a lot because that's going to kind of have to just be the way it is. But it's pretty good. And I really love this one. This is going to be really nice. So I'm going to just clean it off because that's all I'm going to do with these two. And we've got a pretty good start to a card on both of these. You know what? I'm not as happy with that. I'm going to flip it, and we're going to do this again. I'm going to show you if I stop talking, I can actually get this done quite quickly. So let me just shut up here a minute. You're probably not listening anyway, but if you are, you're probably thinking, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Do you like to listen to yourself? I hope not. I don't know anybody who does, actually. No one does. I hate it. That's why I get that sound off really fast. My voice is like, what? Your voice. What's the matter with your voice? Okay. There we go. I do keep talking, though, because otherwise I can't tell that I am even on, am I even on? You can see in the video over here, am I still on or not? And if there's no sound, it indicates sometimes that I'm not live. I'm not really here. I'm not a live person, but I am. Don't shut me down. I am here. Okay, so that's the orange. Oops, I'm gonna have to retape my little QR codes there. I can see the way I am doing this on camera. It's hard for you to see, so I'm going to do the bullet tip here just to do these stems really quick. A little quicker. At least where it joins up where the flower is. Oops, and my little buds. Okay, I don't know if that's faster or not. I've gotten used to using these things so I can actually do it pretty quickly, even just using the brush tip. My hand looks like I need a little more coffee. It looks quivery. Like I need a little more coffee today. I had my 2 cups of coffee already. But today is today's a fasting day probably, or close to it. I do need to have some yogurt today to get some protein in me. Okay, there. And I just want to make sure those are all pretty even there. So we have real nice stems. You don't want your stems to be too weird looking. All right, that's looking pretty good. And I'm not even going to breathe on it. I think it'll be just fine. Perfect. Okay, now I am going to need to clean that little smudge up just to make sure that's gone. And then we'll put this one away and we'll do the other one. Same way, but we're going to color them to both because, yeah. Now this one, remember, I'm going to be trimming. So I'm going to trim this. I'm going to trim this. This flower I'm going to kind of put up a bit because this actually looks pretty fat. Like this is 4.5 because this is the other side of this, and I cut this at 4. So this one's going to get a whole, 1/2 of an inch trimmed off. So I'm going to have to remember that when I go to stamp this flower that's going to go on the bottom. Another thing that you want to do with this kind of a technique that oftentimes looks really good is some kind of texture in here. So use your embossing folders in some way and get some wonderful texture in there. Have you noticed all the buds budding out? My husband and I have really been enjoying looking at all of the buds out there. Is that a bud or is that a leaf? It's a leaf. Okay. When it first started about 2 weeks ago, I said to Jeff when we were sitting on the deck out there, is that last year's growth that kind of looks a little bit greenish out there? Or is that old yellowish, last year's growth? Or is that new? I think that's a new hazy growth. And he said, I think it is too. And then about a week later, oh man, it was obvious that was, yes, green new growth. It's so exciting. I am always surprised at how eager we both are to see some color out there after a long gray winter. And it's not even that long, like heaven forbid. I used to live in much colder Pacific Northwest up in Spokane. And my birthday being in February, I was like, oh, seriously, could I have been born in a more gray time of the year? Just so tired of snow and cold in February. My birthday when I was a kid was probably a treat to me, but as an adult, it's like, oh man, could I have not had my birthday in February? Please, but oh well. And then I had children, which is wonderful because then you get to enjoy birthdays in whatever month they have them. And that actually does help a lot. So it didn't matter so much. I like to just go out and eat on my birthday anyway. So doing that in the winter time is just as good as any other time of the year. And here, February has a lot of spring hinting around at it. And it did in the Tri-Cities where we lived before we moved here too. The Tri-Cities in Washington State is probably cold still. We're having a really nice spring here. We did have several days of rain, which I like because I've got I'm trying to grow some plants again. I am trying to resist, but man, is it hard. Okay, there we go. Now let's do you first. We're going like that. And then we're going to color that again. Okay. Now these, again, if you try to color on the cardstock, you won't like what you get with markers so much. You can do it if it's in very tiny areas, but it leaves lines, and you cannot really shade it. It's very difficult to do any shading. There is a blender pen you can get that's a colorless color lifter kind of pen, sorta, for markers. It's in the marker collection, but I wouldn't recommend it, and I never use it because I just don't like what I get. And so if you want to do large areas of coloring, make sure you're getting the alcohol blending pens. They're called blending pens. And in other companies that you might buy blending pens through, you can get refills for those. But of course, they won't be our colors. And the thing about our colors are they all match. Now, I'm doing this to make sure that any green I might have picked up, I'm cleaning off of that nib because I definitely don't want to come back to my yellow later and find out I've ruined it by not cleaning it off. And I can do that with this, only with orange. Green on it's not good, but a little yellow on it's not going to hurt it a bit. So I am going to clean it this time, though, because I've got some green on my stems, and I do not want green in my pumpkin pie marker. And, when you are... Do you see that little bit of green? I did. I had picked up just a tiny bit. And I'm coloring here because I know I'm going to cut that off anyway. Now with green, not worried about it because a little pumpkin pie, a little bit of yellow, it is not going to affect this green. It's a very strong color. If you have ever colored anything with green, your food coloring stuff, you know. Green is pretty strong. Red's pretty strong. Blue's pretty strong. But green, you're really, really pretty strong. We have in our family one of our favorite treats that I didn't know about because I started to make, I mean, I knew about the treat, but I didn't know what it did. Because I started making them when I was a teenager, when I really didn't care what happened inside my body too much. I mean, I was oftentimes a vegetarian because I did care to that level, but as far as dyes and, you know, preservatives and things like that, I wasn't too concerned about it. I was young. And one year after our daughter was probably about 4, I think, I made our typical holiday treat using green food coloring and could not believe what it was doing to the inside of my poor little daughter's body. So we'll do it like that. I stopped using coloring at that point. Like, oh, we're not doing dyes anymore. I didn't really realize that's what happened inside a human body. All right, so now what we're going to do is put on the sentiment. What did I say? Oh, yeah, above and beyond. Let me get a smaller block because you want to use the size that's pretty close to what your stamp is, just because it makes it easier to use. And let's see, we need something to stand out. So yellow is not going to work. I want different colors. We're going to do, you go there a lot in green. Let's use the orange for the above and beyond. I don't really want orange. Let's see if I've got a Daffodil Delight. Because is this Daffodil Delight? It is. It's just not strong enough. So we're going to go ahead with orange then. All right. So let's do above and beyond. It's going to go first. So when you have a whole line, but if you even just want to do separate words, it's really easy when you're coloring right on the stamp to do this. Again, if you've got clear clear stamps, you don't need to do that. You can just ink it up and clean off the part. It's super easy to see what you've inked up and what you haven't. You can color onto your photopolymer with these. I don't ever do that. I never do it. Okay, like that. And then we're going to clean that off and let that dry a bit. And then we'll do green on the bottom. Okay, garden green, we want the brush tip side. So you have a bullet tip that in our old markers was teeny, teeny, tiny. A real thin line, wispy line. In our new bullet tipped ones, oops, that's the brush tip. In our new ones, you can see it's much fatter. It's quite a bit fatter. It's still pretty thin, but it is quite a bit fatter. Okay, which actually I don't mind because the other one, it dried out so quickly. These are going to last a little bit longer for me. And I do like that. Okay, so now we're going there. It's a little crooked, but we'll straighten that out because I've got room to do so. And I'm not really concerned about that. I'm trying to show you how easy it is to just make a couple of cards that are very colorful, but you haven't had to labor over the coloring of it. Right there. That turned out much straighter, didn't it? Okay, so now we're going to do our little thank you. And I could get out my ink and then just ink it. That would be super simple to do. So much, but oh, that's hello you. That's very cute, but that's not what I want. I want thank you. We want that thank you in. I was gonna do it in green. I could do it on the inside of the card, I suppose. You know, I'm thinking I don't really want this thank you here. So we will do that on the inside when I do the inside, but I'm not doing that yet. So I'm going to just set that there. And now you get to see how are we going to color the flowers. They don't have to be colored. They're actually really pretty just as they are, I think. But I don't want white and and white inside the flowers at all. So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is grab out my Daffodil Delight pencil, and then I'm going to just very lightly color in where it's white. It's very quick, and then it doesn't wash out the flower at all. Because these pale yellow ones, they'd be pretty easy to just totally get rid of all the, lines of them if I was using anything else. So I'm going to just use this pencil very lightly, coloring in all of these little flowers, and then we're going to smooth it out because a pencil leaves lines, and that's fine if I'm doing like detail and drawing in the lines, but this is a fill color. I'm trying to fill the flower. I don't really want a whole bunch of separate little yellow lines. So I'm actually going to take, I don't have a pale yellow Stampin' Up! One. I am using Y000. This is a Copic pen, and that's going to smooth that out. And I can just color right over all of those little flowers. It's like a white almost. Here, let me do it down here, and you can see how pale that is. It's super, super pale. Now, to have this many colors, Stampin' Up! Would have to stop selling cards, stop selling stamps, stop selling dies, and do just colors. That's why they can sell literally hundreds and hundreds of colors. And we can't do that, but I do supplement once in a while with those. Okay, now here's my little pumpkin pie marker. I don't really want to color pumpkin pie. I thought I had a pumpkin pie pencil out. Why aren't you out? I thought I had you out. Oh, I don't. Let me grab one, because I need to color that center just a little bit, and I do want to use my pumpkin pie pencil to do that. Now here, I don't need it to be a stamen center part of the flower. Can be a little blotchy and striped and all that. Doesn't matter. So we don't need any blending pen going over that. And then I'm going to just use my light Granny Apple Green to fill in the colors in the leaf because it's light enough. I don't have to get out any cheat pens to do that. This is beautiful, just as is. If you want to have additional highlights in your leaves, you can do that. But I'm not doing that today because I want you to see how easy it is to do. Super simple, fun cards, almost no coloring at all. Not really. Again, when you look at a stamp to see what technique you're going to use, both of these stamp sets, you have two colors in the flower, really. You've got this where it's white and where it's dark. Okay, same thing with these leaves. There's a dark and a white, so you've got two colors. This is one color, this is one color, this is two colors. So if you're using markers, don't use a stamp generally with more than two colors. This one for the total is 3 colors. I've got my white, my dark, and then of course my leaves and the buds, of course, but the buds are going to be one of the flower colors. So you want to, the more you limit the number of colors in your stamp, the quicker you're going to be able to color it and stamp. Also a big one, you don't want to do too much, because one part of it will dry while you're coloring the other part. So this is actually about the biggest stamp I would ever use using this technique, because I can easily color all of those things, get it stamped. I didn't even have to breathe on it. You breathe on it sometimes to get a little moisture on there to make sure it's still going to ink out nice, but you don't really have to when you're not using a bigger stamp. So if you're limiting your stamp size, and the number of colors you're using, because of course every time you change pens, it's taking another few seconds of your time, and you want to do it fairly quickly so you can get a good impression. Have that ink be fresh when you're stamping it. Now I am going to do the botanical layers too, because I want you to see, this looks to me almost, it's not mother-in-law's tongue, but it almost looks like it, and that's so pretty. Now this is actually the stamp I use a ton, but because I can just ink one ink color and, you know, do that. But I want you to see that even with one solid color, you can add with your pen some other things. So we will get to that in a minute. Let's finish this card off first. Actually, it's 2 cards, and then we'll be done with these. And they're beautiful, just as is. I just need to fix my orientation here a little bit because it's kind of off. So we'll take a piece of lemon lolly that I've already cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, although see my sizing there? Isn't that funny? I'm pretty sure it's sized that way. I don't know if my cutting board, I think it's me. I don't think it's my cutting board. Something's off just a tiny bit. So 4 1/4. Yeah, no, I didn't put it in there exactly right. And so I thought it was me. Sometimes I don't get things cut perfect. And it's like, why? There we go, that's better. So now I have a nice even mat around it. And if you want to make something even stand out just a bit more, you could do a mat on a mat on a mat. So we got 3 colors. You could do your lemon lolly, a pumpkin pie, and either the granny apple green or the garden green. And just if you're doing 3 mats, make sure they're very thin. And I would probably make the lightest color, which would be lemon lolly, that one. I would probably make that one the larger of them all, just to make sure I could see it really good. When you're doing your card bases, I mean, not your card base, but your card front, because this is, of course, the card front. And then when you do your card base, I'm talking about your standard sized 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, if this is the size you're using. Looks like I've got a bit bigger there, but that's okay. I would stick that on there, and then we can stamp our flower with that. I'm going to finish that one off later. Now there's this one, and I've got a little issue going because I stamped that crooked. So let's look at our corners. I've got a little corner die I might utilize here just to keep it nice and straight. Let's see what happens if I do this. This is going to cut out a little edge. And then if I go like that, that's going to be way crooked. I don't really want that. So I'm going to have to, this is what I'm going to have to do with this, since I stamped it crookedly. I'm going to live with it, and then I will stamp my sentiments separate on a tag and put it on there, because I'm not going to like it. It's crooked. I don't like crooked. That drives me crazy. So we're going to go like that. A little bigger, because I keep miscutting things. And we got another piece of lemon lolly. Let's try our Daffodil Delight. See if we like that better. I might. It's standing out a bit more. So let's do that. 4 1/4, 5 1/2, and then we'll put that one on this one. Yeah, I like it better, I think, on Daffodil Delight. And then if you wanted your other color, you could always cut this a bit smaller and do that color too. Isn't that pretty? Really, I love the extra mats. They do really zip it up. Takes it up a notch. So let's cut another 1/4 inch, because I've got lots of room down there. And not a 1/4, but we'll take almost a 1/4 there. Yeah, that's plenty. And then I can trim this up. By trimming that one up, let's see if it would fit. Then we can put our Granny Apple Green under it and still have our standard size card. So I still need to trim this side a bit. There we go. And then we can do 4 1/4 on this one and 5 1/2. It's already cut there. I thought it was, but I was just checking. And then look at that. Doesn't that look nice? So pretty. I love that. That is going to be nice, nice, nice. And even with a crooked sentiment, it's not that big a deal. But because I'm a nut, I'm going to stamp this on white on a tag and stick it on there. And if you go to the trouble of doing that, you might want to add a ribbon. And if you're going to add a ribbon, this is like a mouse with a cookie. If you give him a cookie, he's going to want the milk. If you're going to put the ribbon on, do not layer these until you've got your ribbon on, then you can layer them. That's another reason why I save that. I save that till the final stage. Is the card really done before I put it on a mat? But I mean, before I put it on the base card. Do not put it on the base card until you are super sure. Now, with this one, you can use, if you want to, you could use your yellow. The thing is that you're going to want a darker yellow either under the images or in the images. You don't really want it to match, but you can do that. So when you've got just your solid colors like this, you can, let's see, oh, I've got one done already. Isn't that nice? This one I just stamped in color. Let's do that, okay? So we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to use our, this is instead of inking it with your pad. If you don't have the money to buy 20 ink pads, you can buy the markers and use them this way. Oops. Okay, like that. And then you can take your Granny Apple Green and we're going to get that extra green color in the leaf like that. Okay, doesn't that look nice? I really like this plant. This is a nice one. So this is the one, this set is retired, although I do love it. So, you know, you can find retired things on eBay. If there are sets that you just love, missed out when it was new, you know, you can probably find it. I don't do that very often. When I was young and couldn't afford all of the stamps I wanted, there were many that I did when I finally became a demonstrator and had some money to spend on these things. I did buy some of my old stamps that I missed out on, but not very many really, because generally Stampin' Up! Is going to come out with something similar, and you might like it better because it'll be on maybe photopolymer or something like that. Now this one, thank you for everything. No, I want the thank you. So we're going to do that. We do have, let's see, some other options here with this one. We've got this one. This is a nice feathery type one that can go along if you want. We've got this one if you want anything extra there. I don't think we really need anything extra. This one is a standalone plant. You could probably find, oh, what is the one we've got? We've got Plentiful, got it right here, Planted Paradise. This is your photopolymer, has your pots right in there. If you wanted to add a pot right here, I think that would look really good. Let's do it. Let's take this pot. This is my favorite one. This round one. It's really cool. That is, oh, it's too big. Unless I stick it up like that. It's too big. It's my favorite one. Let's see how much let's see how big the shallow one's gonna look. This one's just too small. It'd look goofy. You wouldn't have a big plant like that in there. The other thing about Planted Paradise is that it has these wonderful little skinny stems. That's too... We'll have to put another plant in if we do that. I'm thinking. Okay, if we're going to do that, let's do those. Yeah, I'll just do these. We'll do one little teeny tiny, and we'll put that in, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. Because this, I think this is going to be too big. This is actually a really big, this is our Country Corners die. This is the biggest one, I think. Maybe it's the second biggest. Anyway, it's huge. And that is going to fill up, it up a lot. All right, so let's use that. And we're going to just put a tiny bit. We're going to use just this little bit here. When you're using your marker, it's really simple to just do the bit of the stamp that you want to. I'm going to do that bit right there. Okay, and then our pot is going to try to come up there a little bit. Let's do maybe just a bit more. One more, right there. Perfect. Okay, now take my pen and just make sure my leaf is looking like I want it to. Right there. Okay, now we'll put these away. And then we'll do our little pot. Now, I didn't even need the pot. It's totally unnecessary. But I like it. I like the pot. It's a good one. Let's grab a piece of white. I just need a scrap. And this little circle I'm saving. So let's not use that one. Don't I have a scrap of white over here? I thought I did. I don't. Oh, yes, I do. It's over here. A little scrap. Okay, there's my little scrap. I think my pot will fit on here. Let's see if it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm going to have to actually break down and cut a sheet of white. And let's move you up. You're probably very claustrophobic now. Right there. Right on top. 4 1/4. Okay, so now we have some white to work with. And we'll do our little clay pot. And it's going to have to be a color that's going to go with all of this. I don't want green. What do I want then? We have this block and this block. Well, we're going to have to go with green. But let's go with a slightly different color green. We're going to go with Pear Pizzazz. Now that is a retired green, but it's one of my favorites, and I want a stamped off version of you. So let's go like this and like that. Now, do you see how it marked it differently? I'm okay with that. If I didn't like all of that, though, and I've already done it, and I don't want to have to re-ink again, you can kind of smooth some things out with your blending pens. These are very useful to do all kinds of magic with, because you know, my pot, I don't mind it being a little darker on the bottom. This just is the way my stuff all looks out in the garden, pretty much. It's kind of mottled and worn. But this is what photopolymer stamps often do. It's one reason why a lot of people don't like them as much, and they like cling stamps. It's nice to be able to see through it and just to know right there what you're getting. But there is the thing about them not inking up quite as nicely. Does this one have dies, ladies? Do you know if it does? I don't know. And it doesn't matter because I knew I wasn't ever going to really need to know that anyway, because these are super easy to cut out. And I'm never going to cut it out with the plants in there anyway, so I'm only going to be cutting out the pots. Because the plants, I think, look really good just stamped right on your cardstock. Like I did it there. Okay, so then you can stick your pot right there. And then let's take our lemon lolly and see if that's gonna look decent. And my size, how it's gonna fit. It's kind of little big, not too bad. Let's try it on Granny Apple Green. I think I like that better. Yes. Okay, and then we'll do another Daffodil Delight underneath there. So now all we need is the sentiment. And I do want my Shaded Summer here because we want, may the good you do come back to you. I love that. That is such a nice one. So may the good you do come back to you. It does. It really, really does. And let's use our Granny Apple Green. Where are you? There you are. Okay, Granny Apple Green. We'll stamp you right there. It's a little crooked. I'm not being very careful, am I? And this one actually looks kind of greeny. That's another one that I'm probably going to want to stamp with a sentiment and maybe even in white and stick on that. I'm not so thrilled. So anyway, that's the problem that you have sometimes with these cling stamps. You can't see through them, and so things happen that you don't really like. Then you have to fix it. But most of the time, that sort of thing's easily fixed. 4 1/4. Huh, you just seem a little fat. Let's see. We want to thin. This card is going on a diet because I do not want it to be that fat. We're going to skinny it up quite a bit, down to about a little more than 3 1/4. Let's see how that looks. Much better. I want the borders to be about the same size. And then our another piece of Daffodil Delight. We're going to trim the edge just a little, not a ton, because I don't have a lot of room there with this corner piece. Just a little. There we go. And we're going to do, this card's going to end up being just a tiny bit on the long and skinny side, but it's cute. Okay, and about there. So you can see I'm not worrying about measuring. I'm trying to get the lines straight, but I'm not even measuring. If you just push it up against there, you'll see about where it needs to be. And then that's going to go there. And we'll straighten all that up. And we're going to put our pot's still kind of covering up my plant. Oh, well. If I wanted to, I could restamp. But you know what? It actually looks pretty good, just like that. Pretty good. I did want it down there. If I do a skinnier, longer one, I could do that. But I don't really want to. All right, let's have a little peek here. This pot's deeper. It won't work. I do have other pots, so I might put that one aside and do that one later. One other thing before I leave then. I wanted to show you about that Shaded Summer. Are these flowers? Where's the other one? So there are dies in with it. Now, of course, because this is retired, if you buy this on eBay somewhere, you're going to spend a fortune for it because they don't get cheaper. And I'm sorry if you missed it, because it does have all these wonderful flowers that you can make like this. And then you can stick those on there. Like I could, if I don't want to do the pot, I could even just do my little flowers here. And that actually looks pretty good too. Although I think the mother-in-law tongue has got to be, like mother-in-law tongue, if this is what you are, you've got to be all by yourself because, you know, you're kind of hard to live with. Let's trim the bottom. Let's see if that works. I don't know if it will. I do have a die I could use if I wanted to. Let's see if that worked better. Oh, that's better. Let's try to trim it a bit more. Like that. Oh, it's still a little bit off. Like, there. Ho, ho, ho. What do you think? There, now I can see my little flowers there. All right. So I am going to leave that flower there. I'm not gluing all this down because I don't want to take any more time of your time to show you this, because I showed you everything I wanted to do. How to color on your inks, your cling stamps, and get more out of your... Let's trim this more. I can, and I think it'll be okay if I do. There. And then I can fit that pot on there. So that was Planted Paradise for the pot, Retired Shaded Summer, and Botanical Layers. But look at you. All those. I did all of this with you. Gluing these on and the base card is going to take 15 minutes. So basically, these 3 cards easily done. I could have done more. You've got a couple of extras in about an hour. When you're just coloring your cling stamps and you've got the right ones, it's very fast. So you can just go right ahead and do it and not really feel like you're having to work too hard. It's super easy. You can chat and enjoy some time with your friends while you're making some cards to send some really nice things to people. Say thank you for doing all of the crafting with me. It is true. I saw my cow thing today that I sent out, and it's true. When you make life beautiful for others, it really is more beautiful to you, because, you know, there's just a whole lot of reasons why that's the truth, but it actually does happen that way. And I just heard a sermon not too long ago, and he actually did say, thankfully, I was thinking, oh, please say this. Like when you act happy, you do feel happier. And that is not what he said. He said something much smarter than that. But it's true. If you make yourself step out of how you feel when you're not feeling the best, if you make yourself step out of that, you will feel better. You might not feel great, but you will feel better. And that doesn't mean you should lie to others, especially those who are close to you and care and can help. But it doesn't mean you need to wallow in it. If you're not wallowing in it, things will get better. They just do. They do. I hope you have a sunny week. I'm going to be planting. And this afternoon, I'm going out on a bike ride before the wind comes up, I think. I hope so. Have a wonderful week. Be ready for that new catalog. It's coming. And again, follow me on Pinterest, on YouTube. You can subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And like and share the video, all of those things. I do really appreciate it when you do those things for me. Comment. If you comment, that helps these videos not just disappear permanently, but they do tend to go. I'm not saving them forever on Facebook, but they will be on YouTube. You can find all kinds of old things on YouTube from me and like everyone else. So go and explore. There's so many things you can make, and it's fun. Thanks again. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.